Hello everyone, I'm Raquel and welcome to my channel where I talk about all things health and homeopathy related. I had a request from a subscriber to walk through some case studies with my handy dandy complete homeopathy handbook by Miranda Castro, just to kind of give you an example of the process a few more times. So thank you, Kathy, for that suggestion. And if you have any suggestions for future videos, let me know down in the comments, and I'll see what I can do to put one of those together for you. If you like this video, be sure and give me a thumbs up below to let me know. If you're new here and you want to see more videos about how homeopathy can be used in your everyday life, be sure and click the subscribe button followed by the alert button so you won't miss a thing. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, be sure to leave them down below for me. Alright, let's get started. The first examples I have taken straight from Mary's Homeopathy study group and her Match It Monday exercise. Every Monday she puts out a case and she opens it for comments on Friday so that we can tell what we thought it was, and then she gives the solution on Saturday. And those Match It Mondays are an excellent opportunity to really get familiar with your book, read it, figure out how the rubrics are written in the repertory, and so that you know how to word things or what sorts of words you should be looking for when you are taking symptoms. And this helps you really familiarize yourself with the book and the process before the pressure is on and your husband wakes you up out of a dead sleep in the middle of the night with symptoms of shock because he hurt himself playing soccer and didn't take care of it. Yes, that was me. I was definitely, typing up on the group way in the beginning of my learning about homeopathy. Please help me, somebody, at 2 a.m. Unfortunately, that group is worldwide. They have people everywhere. So somebody was awake and was actually able to help me. But it is always so much better to be prepared and know how to look things up well. Oh, and the first from Mary's Homeopathy Study Group, the last one is actually an actual illness I had not too long ago with the symptoms, and that can show you how things in real life aren't really as clear-cut. We don't always get the exact key symptoms that we need right away, and sometimes we kind of have to do a little extra digging and maybe a little guessing and just try some remedies. So I will talk about that one at the end. Okay, so case number 1. Hubby was working outside and got chilled. Since then he's been irritable, complaining of feeling bruised. He has tearing pain in his shoulder and hip. Warmth helps. He had a massage but said it made things worse as the room wasn't warm enough. Which remedy can help? Okay, let's see. What do we want to look up? Injuries? Working outside and got chilled. I might go to complaints after. That's a good place to start, maybe. Complaints after getting chilled. And it lists 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 remedies. So I would go ahead and tick those off. Write in getting chilled under the symptoms section. Let me show you this. Under the symptoms section here, I would write in getting chilled, and then I would go through each of the remedies and tick off all the ones that were listed. So there are 6 listed there. Let's see, what else? Is there anything else in here? Work. Getting wet. Was it wet? Working outside and got chilled. No, it doesn't say anything about being wet. Okay, I think I might go to injury as well. So let's move ahead to the eyes. And injuries. Painful. Fingers and toes, slow to heal. Nerve range parts of the body, no. Causes. No, none of those work. Let's see. What else? Oh, joint pain. Tearing pain, so this is shoulder and hip. Those are joints. We could do joint pain. Let's see, pains are tearing and bruised. So let's look here. Burning, cramping, hips. Ooh, pain in the hips. So let's tick off, there's 3 and then 4 if it's the right hip, but it doesn't say which side on here. So we can mark off all 4 with a note that leadum is for right hip. So we have heparsulf, calicarb, and calisulf and leadum for joint pain in the hips. And then, let's see, legs. No, we need shoulders. Okay, so here we go. We have 4 remedies: ferrum, radicum, heparsulf, calicarb, I don't know the whole one of that one. I think it's rhododendron. Anyway, RHOD period is the abbreviation. And then if it's on the left is leadum again. So that's the shoulders, so I'll write that down, joint pain in the shoulders, and tick off all of those remedies. And then sore and bruised. He does complain of feeling bruised, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 remedies under there, so I'll tick those off. Ones of note are arnica and heparsulf. We've seen heparsulf every time so far. Except for, I think, in the causes section. I don't think that was there. And then tearing pain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 remedies for tearing pain. Ferrum M is there again. Heparsulf is there again. Carb is there again. No leadum. The road one is there again, RHOD. And I think those are the main repeats. So violent and wandering, nope, those aren't there. Okay, so we have a good number to look at. We have a good number of repeating remedies to look at. I think, let's see, ferrum M and heparsulf and calicarb are the ones that I'm going to look at to start with. Those are in the top 3, and it's always a good idea to look at your top at least 2, but maybe 3 and maybe more depending on the illness and what remedies that you're looking at, just so that you can read them all and see the whole picture, because sometimes there's stuff that's missing from the rubric that you see when you read the whole picture. So let's start with calicarb. H-I-J-K, here we go. Catches cold easily. I'm just looking at the general symptoms. Worse from becoming cold, for drafts. Emotional symptoms, let's see. The husband was irritable and complaining. So let's see, this does have irritable and angry. So here's backache, joint pain. Arms feel weak, legs restless, pain in arms, hips, legs, shoulders sore, bruised, stitching, tearing. Better for movement and for walking. Worse, 2 to 3 a.m. for lying on it. Jerking on going to sleep. Hands and feet feel cold and numb, and legs fall asleep easily. So that's interesting. Nothing particularly jumps out at me. It does have the main, pain as far as bruised and tearing in the hips and legs. Doesn't say anything about what it was caused by in here. So let's do the next one, and the next one was ferrum M. A, B, C, D, E, F. Here we go. Ferrum metallicum, or iron. And let's see, general symptoms are here. Those are worse on beginning to move at night for lying down. And then let's go to joint pain. Pains in the shoulder and upper arm. Doesn't say anything about the hips here. And it says better for gentle movement, worse on beginning to move, for lifting arm up, or for bending arm backwards. Interesting. But it doesn't say anything about the hips, so it must not have been in that rubric, and I was remembering wrong. But okay, that's a good thought to have. It doesn't say anything about being caused by working in the cold or getting chilled. It doesn't say anything about being worse for getting cold or always feeling cold, because it seems like this person had a massage, but it made things worse because he wasn't warm enough, so seems to be very sensitive to getting chilled at this point. So let's look up the third remedy, which is Hiparso. Where's the H's? A, B, C. Oh my goodness. Here we go. There we go. I found it. Sorry, it took long. Okay. So, general symptoms: catches cold easily. Complaints from cold wind. This says working outside and got chilled, so it must have been cold. Who knows if it was wind or not. But it was cold. Pains are needle-like. Better for warmth, for heat, for ramping up. We know this one was better for heat. Worse for cold dry weather. Fresh air, lying on the painful side at night. Worse for pressure and for touch. And he was worse after his massage. For being uncovered, which also happened during the massage. And for cold wind. Then we'll go to the emotional symptoms, and impulsive, irritable, sensitive. Those are all under their angry. Let's see, and then let's go to joint pain. Pains in fingers, in hip and shoulder, sore, bruised, pulling, and tearing. So there we have our two main keys, bruised and tearing. Better for heat, which we have said that he's definitely, and worse for cold, which he's definitely worse for cold and feels better when he can stay warm, and a cause from getting cold. So this one hits the main points of the rubrics that we saw in the case. And so this would be the remedy that I think would help, and is the answer that Mary gave. All right, so I wanted to take you through a case with actual symptoms. Because they're not always as cut and dried and clear cut and giving us exactly the right words that we wanted to see in the case that we had written out for us to help us find things. So this was a cold that I had, and it came on slowly, and it had a little bit of a sore throat here, and then it started with some catarrh, and it just kind of got to the point where it had lasted a while. I was ready for it to be done, so I thought I'd kind of take note of all the little symptoms that built up and see if I could find something that fit. So I had blood-streaked mucus sometimes from my nose. It wasn't all the time. It was just occasional, some blood in there. It was, my nose felt really dry and my throat felt dry. But even though my nose would run quite a bit, it would alternate between being kind of stuffy and blocked and then running and burning. My nose under here was red from the burning. And occasionally it would even be thick and green and yellow too. It kind of went back and forth between these things. And even though it was running quite a bit, it still felt dry. And then I did have a headache, and I could not smell things very well. So loss of smell, sore throat, that was kind of itchy and scratchy. And it was worse at night, and my mouth, the interesting sensation to me was that my whole mouth felt dry, like I just didn't have enough saliva, and I kept trying to swallow just to kind of try to create that saliva. It was just so dry. And my right side was blocked not more often than my left, but my right side was blocked and my left was never blocked. But it would alternate being blocked and not throughout the day. And my right lymph nodes were swollen and tender. It was definitely worse lying down, definitely worse on the right. Had some burning pains in my throat and my nose. My tongue was like, it felt swollen almost and enlarged and fuzzy. It felt fuzzy and dry, but it looked pink, and it didn't look fuzzy or have any overgrowth on it or anything. It was just a lighter pink than usual. And the taste buds were kind of enlarged, and it looked a little swollen. It didn't look swollen, it felt swollen. And there's a bad kind of metallic-y taste in my mouth, and I felt kind of weak. And let's see. Yeah, so those were my symptoms, and I had to go through the rubrics and in the repertory, and I went through and found the blood streak guitar, which had 2 remedies, dry, which had 5 remedies, and I went through all of those symptoms I just listed, looked them up in the rubric, and I checked them off all on here. And then I actually had to go to the back and added more notes. And what I did as I was going throughout my day and I was noticing these symptoms, I wrote them down so that I wouldn't forget. And then when I had time to sit down and really think through it and look at all of these different things up, I remembered all the different things I had thought about throughout the day. And then I just kind of checked them all off, and I looked through and I picked out the few that had the most symptoms that sounded the most like me, and I ended up with a list of phosphorus, arsenicum, lycopodium, nitric acid, pulsatilla, and nat myrrh. And that's 6 remedies, and I read all of them in the Materia Medica, and I was kind of like, okay, I'm just gonna number these. I wasn't sure about any of them. Really, if I had just kind of jumped in there, I know arsenicum is a prime cold remedy, and it matched a lot of my symptoms, and I should have just had arsenicum number 1 just because I know that it's such a common cold remedy. But I didn't want to go with just, the normal remedy. I wanted to look at the other ones first. So I actually listed phosphorus first as my first one I wanted to try. I thought as I was reading, it sounded like it could be more like my symptoms than arsenicum. And arsenicum I had second as the second most likely option. And I kind of went through the list that way and said, okay, I think this one would be the next one to try. I think this one would be the next one to try. And I tried phosphorus, and the first dose I actually thought did something. But the second dose, there was no change. And it definitely wasn't getting better. So I went on to the second remedy, which was arsenicum, and that definitely made a change. I had to redose more often than I have to sometimes for illnesses. As far as it's often been 3 doses, and I find that I'm over something. But this one, I did have to dose a couple times a day for several days. But I could tell every time I took a dose that there was a clear improvement of symptoms, and I waited until the symptoms worsened again before I took the next dose. And for this, I only needed 30C. I didn't have to go up to 200C. I find I need to go up to 200C more often when it's kids. But I just stuck with my 30C. I did end up bashing it 100 times there at the end, and that took care of it for me. Well, it took care of the most irritating symptoms. I still had a few symptoms here and there, but they weren't really bothering me, so I just let them ride. But it managed to help that dry mouth that was very uncomfortable. It's almost like a cotton mouth with this weird metallic-y taste, and a sore throat, and those really resolved from the remedy. I could tell a big improvement on them. So just the takeaway from that is sometimes there isn't a clear remedy choice, or you just don't know enough about all of the remedies and their individualities yet to be able to really narrow it down to just, oh, that's the one right away when you're dealing with real life scenarios. And it's okay to make a list of remedies that you think you want to try and just number them with most likely to least likely and try them. There's no harm in that if you're following the dry dose, wet dose. If there's no change after that, move on. You're not going to run into any problems. Homeopathy is safe, and it's okay to do that, which is wonderful when you don't know exactly the right remedy right away.
So there you go. There you have it. That's all I have for you today. If you like this video, be sure and give it a thumbs up below. If you have comments or questions, or you want to tell me about your own adventures with finding remedies for yourself, let me know. I want to hear from you. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you again next Tuesday.